So outside of Friends for Life, you're very active in the diabetes online community. You're a very busy blogger, writer. You've built a community outside of children with diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
What is the connection between the DOC and the in-person experience of Friends for Life?
So I haven't built a community, I've become part of a community, and just the difference was that I got in kind of on the ground floor. So when I started blogging back in 2005, there weren't a lot of people who were telling their stories. And so to put diabetes into Google and get people saying, oh, this is how I'm living with diabetes, instead of a lot of reasons why maybe I would potentially suffer because of diabetes, was a really nice paradigm shift, and I wanted to contribute to that. And so we were telling our anecdotal stories, not giving medical advice, but talking about what it's like to wear an insulin pump, what it's like to try to attempt a pregnancy with diabetes, like the real stuff that someone like me was interested in reading, and people were telling their stories. And so there became this collective of voices of people who were living with diabetes that were telling real deal stuff about this experience. And then through organizations like Children with Diabetes, we were able to take our digital connections and bring them into a real life setting where you could sit across from that person and have that moment of like, me too. And that is really powerful when you feel like you're the only person who's living with something and you feel very isolated. Because diabetes can be kind of on the isolating side, and also it's sort of invisible. So unless you tell me you have type 1, green bracelets aside, like it seems like a little, but if you're not wearing it, like I don't know until you make that disclosure to me. And so that means it's very private and it's very intimate. But just knowing that you're living with type 1 means that you understand something about my life that the people that live in my house who do not have diabetes have no concept of. Like a low blood sugar, you know what that feels like, at least your version of it. And maybe concerns about the future. You know where your brain goes when you think these thoughts. And that's stuff that people in the general course of my day don't understand. So to sit in a room, first of all, to sit on the internet and share those stories, and then to take those stories and those people and see them in real life in the same room, the emotional burden that's alleviated by that, there aren't the right words to find that express that properly. But it's life-changing. I'm sorry, that seems like so intense. But it feels that way. You're like, I'm the only one, and then you find out you're not. And then you feel like everything's going to be okay because you're not alone. And that's very powerful.
It is. I think we all have our story of coming through that isolation and those kind of scary, lonely feelings.
Yeah.
And for me, Friends for Life growing up was my gathering post to feel normal.
That's right.
And so, are you looking forward to meeting any new friends from the DOC at this year's Friends for Life? Are you looking to put some faces to names from online?
Oh, I love that. And it's so weird because if you normally see somebody within the confines of the box that Facebook puts their head into or that Twitter puts their head into, it's hard to recognize someone as an entire person. So you see someone's feet and you're like, oh, that's right. I had no idea you had feet. I've only seen you in that little box, like that kind of thing. But now, I'm not sure if there's anyone specific that I'm looking to connect with, but a lot of times it's about reconnecting. Sometimes this conference is the only time that I'm seeing my peers in this sense, and so we all get to kind of hang out. And we're doing the educational stuff, and a lot of them are on faculty, and so we have our moments where we're not seeing one another, but when we all come together at the end of the day, we're not sitting there talking about diabetes, but you know that if something happens to you while you're sitting there, that they've got your back, no explanation needed. And there's something so nice, sounds too trite, but there's something so nice about that you don't have to worry about the thing in that moment that you might worry about all the time otherwise.
And we all have feet.
Yeah, well, I mean, and then if you don't, that's okay too, but like, that there's like a body and a person and a family outside of that little digital microcosm, and it's so nice to make those people real. And I remember when my mom used to kind of distinguish between my online friends or my diabetes friends and then my real life friends. And over the last 14 years or so, she stopped using the adjectives of my online diabetes friends or my real friends because everyone's just become one of my friends. Like if we mention someone like Scott Johnson at my dinner table, my kids have met him. My husband has hung out with him. My mom has never met him, but feels like she should send him a Christmas present every year because she feels like she knows. So that shows you the power of these connections that seem very surface level, but they go very deep.
So you're here as a board member, as a presenter, and as a member of the community. What are you hoping people take away from Friends for Life conference this year?
Well, so I'm not the Lorax, right? So I don't speak for all the people with diabetes. I don't speak for the entire board. I can only speak for myself. But I know that when people come here, they feel better and they feel like they're part of something greater than themselves, which is amazing. And I want people to remember that this organization continues to grow and thrive based on the support of the people, not only in the room, but people like the sponsors who are coming and supporting our events, and even people outside who never stepped foot in this room who are making their donations and kind of supporting from a financial sense as well, this group that we are trying to grow and this change that we're trying to implement. So I think when I'm leaving this conference, I want people to remember that this only happens for a week during the course of a year, but the prep for it and the work that goes into it is 365 days. So I want people to remember that it's not just this moment, that there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff. So make sure that they're thanking people like, I don't know, your mom. And you know what I mean, though? The people that do so much and don't often ask to be acknowledged or recognized, but should be. So I don't know, it would be really great if people would be like, we do a lot of hard work. Thank you for everything that you're doing. Even if it comes down to even the minutia of it, which is if you see a parent of a kid with type 1, as an adult with type 1, I always have a lot of, I don't know what it's like to be them. I know what it's like to be their kid. And I know that it took me a really long time to thank my mother for all the crap that I put her through. And like to say, oh, I'm sorry I did this. And to kind of acknowledge the work that goes into parenting someone in my situation. So sometimes I find myself wanting to grab those parents and go, they're not going to say thank you for a while, but I'm going to thank you for them because you're doing an amazing job. So there's thank yous that can be kind of applied across the board.
Great.
Is that fair?
That's perfectly fair. Thanks, Mom. Kerri, thank you so much for
No
sitting down
worries.
with me today.
My pleasure. Thanks.